Well, hello. This is a video about friends, a psychological processing about friends that left primarily, why they left, and also friends that stayed and why they stayed, and the different kinds of friends I've had. I encourage you to write down and think about the friends that you've had in your life and how it helps you understand yourself as an individual and what went wrong and what went right. And were you in the right or were they in the wrong? Were they in the wrong? Were you in the right? You know what I mean. So let's get started. When I was young, the first friends that I can remember, I had a group of friends. I've always been very charismatic. Hector, that's the only name that I can remember. I was the leader of the pack. And so I don't remember a lot of my friends' names when I was younger in Peru. I was more, I didn't really care about you. You were all my followers. And that was kind of my belief about myself. And that's kind of been a resonating belief that has been through my life where I've perhaps undermined people because of my self idealization of grandiose about myself. And I think it resonates throughout my friendships history. At the same time, I have also felt that there are friends that are equal to my caliber, and those friends have left. So then the question is, did I treat them differently? What the situation was. So when I came to the United States, one of the first friends I can recall is Trina. And some of the names I'm going to change, but some of the names I'm going to keep because some of the people are no longer here. So Trina Benson was one of my pivotal friends. Same with Mr. D, David, and Mr. J. And we were all reasonably close friends. Trina Benson passed away, so it resonated a hole inside of our collective friendship. And also, I went to another school, so we just all kind of parted ways. David went to another state, and I still look for David, actually. And so I'm not going to mention his last name, Schwartz. David Schwartz, where are you? So he went to Rio Hondo. Maybe you know him. I don't know. In California. So I'm looking for that guy. He was one of my good friends, and he has a really good soul. So we all kind of parted ways. And one of the things I was into Madonna at the time, and one of the things that was really painful to me was one of my friends, Mr. J, had said, anybody who likes Madonna is a loser. And I was like, wow, that hurts. And we never spoke after that because, of course, I love Madonna, and that really hurt. So but I believe that it came from the loss of our friend. It just me trying to regain some kind of friendship, and I was a reminder of what was, and he just didn't want to have anything to do with it. And we were kids at the time. I think 11, 12. So not even like I think 10. So our friendship ended. So that's how that ended because of tragedy. I ended up going to another school. I made some new friends, and one of them I still talk to this day, because that particular friend, I love you, is not judgmental, very caring, has gone through stuff, and I really appreciate her and the communication. We've kind of lapsed in communication because I go and I disappear and then I come back. And we were also friends with C and another A. Now, the other A has a lot of kids, so the other A is very busy with that lifestyle and whatnot. And I'm sure the other was very charismatic individual, so other A has all their friends and whatnot. And then there was C, and something happened between C and I, where I divulged secrets. One of the big things that I have a problem with is being humiliated in public. If you humiliated me in public, it's going to be a very hard thing for me to get over it. So it's going to take a lot of conversations and a lot of apologizing, because that's one of my really pet peeves. So that's what happened with C. There was a thing where I was infatuated with someone, and I had told them for 4 years, and then something happened on my birthday, and it just really destroyed me. It really destroyed my confidence and everything, and it really tarnished my friendship with C. And we tried to become friends again, but it just wasn't capable. I think that I still had a lot of, and even to this day, I still have a lot of resentment and a lot of issues in the sense of how I'm viewed by other people. So if you have an image of me that you want to continue having rather than the person that I am today, that's going to be a really tough one for me, especially if you try to force that image back onto me. And back in high school, I think I was a rowdy kid. I was a rebel rouser, political rebel rouser, I would say. And but I was also very kind of like skinny, and so I was afraid, that people might beat me up. So for me, it was my words that I used as a weapon, and perhaps not nicely, oftentimes in a political setting about raising awareness, but perhaps I gossiped. I think that there is a history of me gossiping, and it's something that I've really have sought to continuously grow and understand how to manage that element, because gossiping is not good. Everybody knows that, right? But we all do it. So that happened. So high school, and then I went on, and then towards the end of high school, I was friends with these buddies, J, different J, and T, and then I again, I have issues. I think that there was a certain level of bromance. There was nothing necessarily. One of the big issues, because I like guys sexually, uh, is that specific guys sexually, is that a lot of straight guys will think like, oh, this is weird, is he gonna like me or am I gonna like him? And it just becomes strange things to them in the back of their mind, even if they don't know whether I am or I wasn't. And at the time, I don't think that they knew whether I was. Maybe they thought I was, but it wasn't really clear. So with the help of Jay, I took the shorts and shoes of T and I burnt them and I left them at his house and I said, fuck me for being too emotional. And that was, I was listening to Alanis Morissette at the time. And I didn't do it alone. I did it with somebody else, and it was kind of like a more of a group thing. So Jay made it seem like it was a single thing. So I was like, am I crazy? And that's why my friendship with Jay also ended, because I was kind of left alone with the burning bag. It wasn't burning at the time. It's already burnt, and then I put it in a bag, and then I wrote a note. So, not that crazy. So, of course, T didn't want to be my friend anymore. And it was because Jay had said to me, oh, T doesn't want to be your friend, and it's like it feels like you're a nuisance. And I was like, what? Like, it was just kid stuff, you know what I mean? So it was towards the end of high school. And so those friendships ended. And then I had, let's see, I had D. D, I was making a movie, so I made friends with D. And D was one of my closest friends. I mean, D was literally my best friend. D and I would hang out. One of us would get drunk, the other one would have to drive. Would have to stop the security from calling the cops. We were two bears in a pod, and it was awesome. We would go dancing, and D wasn't gay at all. D was very much straight. And, D had an issue with abandonment, and then I had an issue with abandonment. So I think that the both of those elements, there was definitely a brotherhood and a resonance that we had. And to this day, I really appreciate him. But D changed. I think that I didn't pursue, masters and all that stuff, and D ended up pursuing masters in education and educating and getting serious in the world and being more and more serious. And it got to a point where I think that, my frame of mind about the world and his frame of mind about the world was just completely different. I never imagined that our friendship would end, even though our frames of mind changed, but it did. And it lasted a very long time. I mean, decades. But it just kind of fizzled out. And we just, I have resentment towards it, because I always think to myself, even if I tell you, get away from me, I think that you should still fight. You should still fight for my friendship. You should never let go of a friendship, no matter what. And, I know that I do crazy things, I say crazy things, but I still think, at the end of the day, you have to be able to work it out. You have to be able to work it out for the sake of the world, for the sake of humanity, for the sake of the dialogue, spiritual, of reincarnation, all those things. So, I should have brought water. So then we go on to S. I was friends with S, and S was the situation with C that happened. And S and I were good friends for a long time. S and I took trips. I had a crush on S a long time ago, but then it evolved to a brotherhood. And this is the kind of person I am. That most recently I had dreams, because S and I stopped being friends. Basically, what happened was I had lost my job. S and I were living together, and I didn't have enough money for the rent. But I was gonna make. I was, I can do it. I can make it. But S wanted a new roommate, so that particular day I just moved all my stuff out. I was just like, because it was heartbreaking. It was just like, you're my best friend, and you're telling me that in a month you're gonna have someone else move in. Okay, then I'm just gonna take all my stuff, So, and that day I left, and we never spoke again. And years later, I bumped into S at Best Buy, and I was like, "Hey, you want to exchange phone numbers?" And S was like, "No," and I'm like, "Okay," you know. So, and most recently, I believe I saw S at the gym, but I was like, you know what? I'm okay. If you want, I'll do it, but it's okay. I'm okay with reality as it is. And S and I were friends for a very long time as well. We took trips together, and S and I think there was more of a like teacher scholar kind of mentality. There was objectivism at the time, and so I was really into objectivism, and I still think that there's a certain validity to objectivism. So I was, I was enthralled by that person. And as I changed, I think again, that person saw my change and they were like, yeah, we're not compatible together as friends anymore. So the friendship ended. Uh, then I had, who else is a friend? Gosh, I have quite a few friends. I have an issue with Asian women. I don't know what it is. And that doesn't mean race. It's just a spiritual thing. I've had plethora of Asian women come through my life, and we've been really good friends. And all of a sudden, they disappear. P and I were really good friends. And then P was from another country, and we met the first time we met. I met P. I was naked at the gym, and so it was a weird experience. But P and I was not. He's not gay. Ended up being good friends and hanging out every day. And then P made friends with my friends at the time. Who me and E ended up dating for a while, and we were really close. And E and I are still friends because E is Pisces. So Pisces are basically the most elevated astrological signs, and they're very understanding. And I'm a person that requires a lot of understanding. And so I really appreciate E for, we're no longer together. And I really, really, really appreciate E as a friend, as an individual. I appreciate E's family. I am there for them 1,000%, no matter what. I'm not close to them anymore, of course, because of the breakup. But they're always in my heart. I'm always wishing them well, and I'm always thinking about them because there was really kind of a bit of for a short time, of marriage of families, and it was really beautiful. E met my family, I met E's family, I babysat for E's nieces. It was just, we had fun, we had arguments. It was just a great, great relationship. And and but I was married. I was married in my mind to somebody else for 15 years. And I wouldn't call that a friendship. That was never a friendship. That was just me, like, you know, seeing something beyond reality in the eyes of somebody else, like something like a mystery that it was just the most powerful mystery I had ever seen in my life. And still to this day, I'm wondering, like, what was that? I let it go. I let it go, and I appreciate it for what it was, and the madness that it helped me understand about myself, and how perhaps a lot of us create things in our minds about people, about things, about events, and then all of a sudden we realize you just made up a book. You just wrote a giant book in your mind, and you're living out that fantasy, and it's not true. And so, you know, it is what it is. See, the Voldemort in my life, and not that that person's like that. You don't say the name. We don't say that name. We don't venture into anywhere where that person has been. And by we, I mean like me and my friends, my close friends. Now we're not going there. We're not going here. We're not going there. That kind of thing. Um, and that's kind of like the intensity. I can be an intense person. My rising is Aries, so I'm automatically like, we're friends, right? If I see that in your eyes about reincarnation and the world, and like when I went to the Kabbalah Center, I was just like, I felt like I had come home, and I could like all the things that I had seen in other people's eyes, I could see them in the eyes of all the teachers and the students. It was just like an amazing experience. Highly recommend Kabbalah Center. Um, so then so C, and then T and I were friends. T is a good man. T is a wonderful and amazing human being that I wish everything for the world for. And I didn't handle that friendship easily. I think that I just took and I didn't understand and I didn't listen to what was going on with T. And and to this day, like I wrote a letter and I was gonna send it, but I was like, you know what, T doesn't seem to want to have anything to do with any person of that time. So I just want T growth and understanding and love, and however that love arrives to T. And that's, T was just a very supportive individual of me. T was an extremely supportive individual of me. And so I think that me, even though he was supportive of me even wanting more from that situation was just greedy. It was just a greedy situation. So T, um, oh, Asian women, back to Asian, let's talk about Asian women. Asian women gravitate towards me, free thinking, powerful, strong, liberated Asian women gather towards me and we hang out for a bit and all of a sudden they disappear. One time, one told me that she was engaged, and when I congratulated the groom on the engagement, he was like, "What are you talking about?" So, pobrecita. And so that ended our friendship. Someone thought that I had said something to the media about something which I didn't even know about. Because I was friends with someone involved in that situation, and I was just completely lost on it. So, and I sent her, but she had a lot of healing that needed to do, and I think that one of the biggest things is that, and this is a whole other video, is that Asian women go through such a stigma, like such a like, ooh, look, it's Asian women, they look like little girls, like it's so horrible, and that's the overwhelming story that I got from my Asian friends at the time. And yeah, so it was just, it was just that situation that happened. I think that most recently, H, was a friend, and I think that I may have said something about astrology. Sometimes I say things that people are not willing to understand or capable of understanding at the time. And I was talking about, and I say some really controversial things sometimes, and specific signs that people that fall under those specific signs and they can't digest those things. So I probably said something on the internet that hurt H, and H ended up not being my friend. And H and I had taken trips, had gone to places, had gone so you see a pattern here of people leaving without telling me why they left. And I think that at first I was like angry about it. Like I was just like, why? Oh, it hurts, and it resonates because of my father, the relationship with my father, and leaving without really saying why he left. And I think and you see all those resonances in your psychological life just kind of resonate. So, however, your parents and your relationship with your parents are, it resonates. My relationship with my mother is how it resonates. The kind of friends that I gather into my life, and then my resonance with my father also becomes like a cauldron, like both your mother and your father, and it becomes like a cauldron. And this is what you think that you deserve, so you put that into the world, and those are the people that come to you. As I have grown, this video has really gone long on, right? Why was this video inspired? This video was inspired by A, by the letter A. I love A. A is the zenith of my growth in the world of friendship. A is an absolute gift that I sometimes don't deserve, that I feel like I don't deserve, and I feel like I need to give more back. I always feel like I don't deserve A's friendship, so I always have to give more. And a lot of times that annoys A. That annoys A. A is my sister. I would give my life for A. A is my little sister, is my big sister, is my mother, I'm her father, I'm her mother, she's my father. It's that relationship that we have. She's my bestie. I truly appreciate her. And another thing is that I seek to become a cheerleader. You know, we'll go back to J. There's another J before let's stop right now. Let's go back to J because I want to finish back up with A. So Jay was a friend of mine, and I told Jay, "Hey, I'm gay," and Jay was like, "You lied to me," and so no longer were we friends. And so I don't know if it was homophobia. I see Jay at the gym and I wish Jay well. And I think that a lot of times you have that, like, there's something going on in the cosmos, so you want everybody unified and at once. And I've noticed that a lot of my friends end up making friends with other my friends. It's because there's a resonance, there's a thing. That's kind of my curse, is that a lot of times when my friends meet my other friends, they end up being friends more so than I'm friends with other people, you know? And it hurts, but it's beautiful. It really is beautiful. So, but I can see that there's a construct, there's something, there's a bridging, that things need to, everybody's a piece of the puzzle, and you can see it through their eyes, and if you could only manage to say the right words and put all the pieces in place, then really something amazing can happen. I think that's how I feel inside. That's how I feel inside. And I think the stress of it, of wanting to understand other people and be able to gather them like a sheep herder, trying to gather them all into one area, is extremely stressful because you also feel like you're above people. And that kind of perhaps pushes people away. But when you feel like you're with the journey in somebody and they have their own journey, as with you know, and I think A also sees sometimes, I can be controlling in very subtle ways. Like I'll throw in, and it's perhaps a man thing, how men try to like, it's male privilege. Men tend to behave in a certain way, and women have been taught to behave in a certain way. So sometimes those things will clash as we're trying to grow as individuals into the new world. And so for all those things, for the growth experience, for the learning, for the understanding, for the love, for the growth, A is just an amazing human being. I think the fear still always is there that someday people will go, I'm done. And I don't know, even with A sometimes, very, very, very seldom, I think when I'm truly, truly depressed, I think, well, will there be a day when A goes, bye? And that, like, has no explanation as to why. And that scares the shit out of me because friendship and A and all of it is extremely important, and having more friends and growing those relationships is just a really important thing. And so I think to myself, that is not a reality that exists because my relationship with A is about growth and understanding, not just for ourselves, but for the rest of the world so we can be better people. And so those are the lessons that I have learned through friendship. I deserve it. I deserve people leaving. I deserve them not telling me why they left. I deserve everything that has happened to me. And I think that sometimes we can go into that place where like, you did this, resentment, stuff like that. I don't know. But the reality is that we have done something, we have said something, there's a story we have created in place in order to receive that story back, in order for us to learn and grow from it. So this has been a long video about friendship. Did you get to the end? Well, if you got to the end, then you know that if in the Los Angeles area, 777 Valley Thrift Store is the best thrift store in the world. And also Community Thrift Store on Arrow is another amazing, amazing store. So that was my hint and tip to you. I love you. I want to wish you a wonderful eternity. Did you stop?